Okay, so today, Ted Koutsogiannopoulos. Did I say that correctly?
Pretty close.
Pretty close. Oh
Yeah.
wait, no, never mind. Oh yeah, pretty close, pretty close. I'm reading it on your Zoom profile. I guess Leslieville pioneer. You've been a business owner here for a very long time.
Yes.
Starting with, starting with Joy Bistro, or did you? That's where it started, right?
Started Joy Bistro, originally Joy of Java, back in 1999.
That's right.
Yeah.
When I moved to the neighborhood in 2001, you kept me caffeinated and fed nicely. I didn't even know you then.
Yeah.
So Leslieville Pioneer, current landlord. You own a number of commercial properties in the neighborhood, but most importantly, you are now owner of Barrio. We've got a number of other restaurants, but Barrio is the one that's, I guess, opening tomorrow and ready to start serving people in a different way.
We opened Wednesday, so a couple nights ago for takeout and delivery.
Nice.
So we've been doing that. We're open again tonight. And tomorrow we open our patio side as an outdoor COVID market. So it's kind of, you just come on in and you shop different stations and you take it to go and away you go. So we're trying to be social distancing, health-wise, everything, very conscious of all those things, only a certain amount of people in at a time. You know, you get a mask when you're entering. If you could bring your own, or you could buy one right at the door. And we have a variety of different Barrio staples like guacamole and tacos and things like that. But we're also doing some really neat things, like we're doing pickled lemonade. We're doing fruit, like pineapple juice in an actual pineapple. We're experimenting right now with a crazy taco, which is going to be a bit of a surprise for everybody, and one of those things that you can't get anywhere, I imagine. So it's pretty exciting. We're doing some neat things. We're going to have some fresh produce. It looks like the weekends, the weather's not going to be great, so we might have some limited produce for tomorrow. But once we get up and running, we'll do some really nice fresh produce as well, and try to get the neighborhood out and something to do that's safe, and get back out there.
I mean, the weather looks pretty great tomorrow, man.
Yeah,
It's sunny start to finish, so hopefully it cooperates.
yeah. So I'm hoping that too, and then we'll get up and running, and at least we'll have one day under our belt until then. We'll reopen again Thursday next week. We're just gonna do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for now.
And
Thursday,
then,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Got it.
so this is a really cool idea. It's the first one of these I've heard of with kind of the outdoor market and utilizing your outdoor space, which is obviously a strength of your place at Barrio, having that great patio. Everyone's there in the summer. It's always full and hopping. What made you come up with the idea of doing an outdoor market, and what were some of the difficulties just in terms of logistics of being able to make it work with social distancing going on and COVID?
And also,
Yeah.
one more thing on top of that is, when you're answering, did you have to deal with the city with any of this? Like, were they helping you along or facilitating permits for that sort of thing?
Well, we're a restaurant that's running with the license to run on that patio, so that, so far as the city goes, I think as long as we're following the social distancing rules, and we're not allowing people to linger and stay and consume on the patio. It's a market where you walk through one direction. You don't pay until the end, so it's like a shopping experience. You pick up something at each booth, which is separated by distance as well. We've been very conscious about trying to follow all the rules and make sure that everybody that comes feels safe to shop. All our staff will have masks. Like, we're doing the screening before they start work. So everything is, we're doing everything we can to make sure that whoever comes has a good experience and feels comfortable being there. And how it started, in these times of crazy, really, where you're just shut down and you have nothing to do, you gotta start thinking outside the box. And originally I thought about doing an outdoor vegetable market, like a farmer's market kind of thing there.
Yep.
But I wanted to be a little more creative and a little more out there, just to create a unique experience. And ended up partnering with a young couple who do carnivals.
Oh, cool.
And these guys, they go Calgary Stampede, they go all over the States, they do the exhibition. And their specialty is markets, but more like those kind of carnival markets where they're doing unique and crazy things. And the three of us sat down and we just started playing around with some ideas, and we partnered it up, and they've done a lot of the work to set it up. So it's been easier for me than normal.
Now I see where the crazy taco idea might have come from.
The crazy taco idea is mine, actually, and it's a pretty, yeah, it's right out there.
Nice.
So I was taking pictures of it today.
Oh, you made some already? Did you? Little
Yeah.
test ones?
Yeah. I don't know how many people will want to eat it, or how many people can actually eat it. It looks pretty cool.
I'll come try it tomorrow, 100%. I'll come try it.
Yeah.
So I guess the next step is you're going to recreate the CNE on your patio, because it's been canceled this year. So
yeah, we're not doing any rides yet.
no.
But
Okay.
don't count us out for any of that. So,
Sure.
yeah.
And so how many stations will there be at the market?
About 6 booths, maybe 12 stations, different things. We're doing Mexican street corn. We're doing guacamole and chips, like our house-made stuff. We're doing coconut and avocado ice cream.
Oh, wow.
We're doing those drinks, like I said, like a pineapple juice in a pineapple. Yeah, margarita mix. We have our own beer that we're selling as well. So the Barrio brand beer in a can. Churros. It's going to be fun. Yeah, we're trying to.
The
trying to
beer.
make it fun too.
Can people take? What are the? I know restaurants can now sell alcohol to the public and grab and go.
Yeah.
I guess you can't really control what people do with that after. Like I'm definitely not going to go sit in Jimmy Simpson Park and enjoy a drink and a taco tomorrow. But
hopefully
maybe
people are not doing that, because I think they can get in trouble, and then ultimately we might get stopped. But
well, that's going to ruin the party for you.
Buying beer at Loblaws or the beer store.
Yeah,
you have to buy it with food in a restaurant, so you can't just come in and buy only beer.
Okay.
But there's going to be a lot to choose from, and you don't have to buy just beer, and we're going to have quite a bit of food available. So, yeah.
Cool. So it's almost like a little Mexican street festival.
It's a kind of a cross of a bunch of things. So you got your Mexican street festival, you have your night market, like the Asian night market kind of idea, exhibition kind of food tent, and it's all in an outdoor atmosphere with nice Mexican, Spanish music in the background, the lights above. We're going to try to open late at night as people are allowed out, like we're looking into the future and see what it is that we can actually do there, and try to evolve as the rules change as well.
For sure. And so what are the hours for this tomorrow?
So tomorrow, I think around 1 o'clock, because it's the first day, and the rain has kept us from doing dry runs and things like that. So we're still trying to set up.
Yeah.
So we're aiming around noon or 1 to open tomorrow, and try to take it as long as the weather will permit and people are still out.
So are there any restrictions in terms of hours that the city has imposed?
No, I don't think so. Not that I haven't looked into that, Ara. That's a good question. But I don't think so.
Well, I mean, I think even if there are rules, I think you should break them. I think now is a time that we can get away with a lot of things and kind of be creative and give the people what they need,
Yeah, I agree with you to a point there. I think part of this market has been almost that. So you start thinking outside the box, but stay within the rules. Because the last thing you want to do is have a negative impact on the community or a negative impact on business, right? So it's important that the staff are safe and that the guests that are coming to this market stay safe too. And also create something that's unique and give us something to do. Like, people are so tired of being at home and there's nowhere to go, nothing to do. And this is something that might just be that exciting thing to do,
So on a much less sort of fun and sexy note, I mean, this event is awesome. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. Let's talk about the past few weeks. What is your staff situation? Were you able to keep some staff?
So some of my key staff, kitchen staff, has come back gladly to be out of isolation and come back. Some of the key staff in the kitchen, because of the situation, found jobs elsewhere and aren't coming back. So that's been a bit of a challenge. Also, there's been a challenge just getting people off their couch. Like there's a number of staff that just don't, they're collecting this emergency fund and they're happy to just stay home, be safe, and not work. So there's a bit of a challenge with that too. But so far we have enough staff. We're still hiring. We're bringing more people on. The market will actually tell us how many staff we need. If we're crazy busy there, we'll need more people, obviously. But Yeah,
So,
staff
so,
has been
so right
interested.
now, sorry to cut you off, Ted.
Oh, no, I'm done.
What was I going to say? So you're hoping to have this market go? You said it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or was it just Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Thursday to Sunday.
Thursday to Sunday, everywhere as long as you can go.
That's right.
Was there anything new that was released in the sort of phase one of the reopening yesterday that helped you do this, or you could have done this essentially with the rules of prior to phase one?
I think as far as being a restaurant, we're allowed to do to go, and just falling kind of under that category of just creating a to go where there's no more than so many people in allowed at once. The patio is pretty big, so I think the number we're looking at is about 8 to 10 in at once. And as long as they follow the rule of going in one direction and staying 6 feet apart from each other, I think that'll be okay.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question specifically, I don't think anything changed. We were planning this before yesterday's announcement. I think the more the announcements come and the more, leniency to the amount of people you can have gathered will help the market. Obviously you can put more people in, it'll be nicer atmosphere and busier.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how many people will actually show up and how long they're willing to line up, but we're here and we're hoping that they do.
Ted, I think you'll be surprised. I think there's going to be people are aching for things to do. And I think you'll be surprised at how many people show up. And like to that atmosphere comment, I think people may not be able to hang out in your spot, but you're going to animate the streets a little bit, and just fingers crossed that people are maintaining proper distance. But the atmosphere will be created in the immediate area, whether it's the park or the sidewalk, all those other places. So I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
Thanks, Ara. I mean, that's, my goal has always been that, even from the Joy Bistro days and Barrio days, was just to create a neighborhood spot that people can come and count on and have fun, right? And now this is just part of it. It's just outside a weird box that exists in this COVID, environment. So
I think it's super creative to give them something different to do other than, just going to get takeout at the restaurant where you're kind of standing outside waiting for your food to be ready and going in.
Right.
Even though you got to have some social distance, at least there'll be a little bit of interaction. People from the neighborhood will see some familiar faces, and though they're 6 feet away, they can kind of share a drink from afar or whatever it may be.
The other side of that, Ryan, is that I personally, all this media, all this negativity, all this stuff that's been going on, it's hard not to get negative and start being afraid of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being a restaurateur, I've been a restaurateur my whole life, and the reason I do it is because I love to interact with people, and it's that whole experience. But you can't help but be afraid, right? You walk down the street and you're looking left and right, and just being here for the last couple of weeks with people around me has made me feel better, because the more you're around people, the less the fear is, and I'm hoping that people will get out of that fear mode quicker rather than later, because that's one of the fears in the restaurant industry is if we're afraid of each other, then this industry will never survive.
Right.
Well, it's gonna be a tough one on the way out, man. Like, you got to survive with half the people in your space, and it's going to be very interesting. The sooner that happens, the better.
Right.
And as Ted says, that the big thing there to try and create that culture is that even when they are allowed to open at full capacity again, I'm sure part of the concern, as Ted said, is that there's a lot of people out there who will still have the fear and not be willing to go even if they're allowed.
Right.
Yeah.
So well, first of all, before we wrap this thing up, if people are going to listen to this, hopefully they get all the info they need, but do you have any of this info condensed online somewhere you can send people to? Is it barrio.com or .ca? What is the website?
We started Marcado Toronto at Barrio, Instagram and website, and I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry, I wasn't ready for that.
I'll put it on the screen when I edit this after.
Okay.
Spell it out for me.
1 second, I'll look it up.
Well, I can look it up later and put it up on the screen. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'll give it to you later just to
So that's like the main, that Instagram page is like the main source where you're going to be putting all the info for this event.
There's a website too for it as well.
Okay, cool.
It's all being created as we speak. We have a we have a media day next Wednesday, and there's been a lot of interest in it. So we're pretty excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can we switch gears into the landlord side of TED?
Sure.
Is
Change
you okay to
the
talk
topic.
about that?
Yeah, of
You got to
course.
change your clothes and come back.
Yeah.
So like you're a successful restaurateur, but you're also a landlord. And you don't always operate in the buildings that you own. You have other restaurants and things like that. So what's
Right.
been your experience over the past few weeks with your tenants? Are they paying? Are they struggling? What do those conversations sound like right now?
Well, I think the answer to your question specifically is yes, yes, and yes, in the sense that everybody's uniquely different, right? So every restaurant has a unique challenge. Some of my tenants were struggling to begin with, so it's hard for them because, like if you're already struggling and you have to close, like what do? You don't want to give up on things, like no one likes to give up. So as a landlord, you have to look at the situation uniquely and individually and treat everybody differently. And, the misconception of landlords is that we're all, like the man, so to speak, like we have all the money in the world and we should give free rent. And that's great if you can do that. But, I'm a landlord. I'm also a restaurateur, so I see both sides. But as a landlord, my taxes are still at 100%. My mortgage is still at 100%. And maybe some of the payments are deferred, but I still have to pay all my expenses, my hydro, my insurance, everything is still there. And obviously we all need to bite the bullet a little bit and help each other. And, this government program, I think they announced that I didn't hear, they were supposed to give more information today, but I haven't been online to see if we got more information. But as it stands, they want the landlord to eat 25% of the costs, right, of the rent, which, big picture thinking, and that might make some sense, and they're making it optional. And as a landlord, you're thinking, when that restaurant was making hundreds of thousands of dollars and they could afford a bigger rent, you weren't going in there going, hey, pay more rent. You just collected your rent. They made money. You were happy they're making money. But now your expenses aren't changing. Why should I take a haircut of 25%? I think it's unfair to landlords to try to do that. Unless, of course, the restaurant is going to close and you look at it as a business decision or a moral decision and say, let me help them out. It's 25% for 3 months, so I lose a month, so to speak, of rent, but they survive. Just, you got to look at it and make a decision. And sometimes it's hard. You got to come across hard and say, look, I'm not cutting your rent. And it depends on individual restaurants. So.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough conversation, I guess. But sometimes I feel it, and we had one of your tenants on this last week with Ascari, and they're pivoting all over the place. They turn into a bottle shop. Like they're scrambling, they're making stuff happen. But he did bring up a good point. Like the program itself doesn't seem to really be all that helpful because they've put all the control in the landlord's hand, really, to say whether this is going to happen or not.
Right.
He suggested perhaps they should have done maybe a partially forgivable loan, which would allow the restaurateur to continue, like, based on a percentage of their gross revenue, which would allow them to continue to pay their employees and pay their rent and whatever until they got out of this mess.
To interrupt you there, I mean, loans are great, and because you have cash to be able to spend it.
Yeah.
But the restaurant industry, there's people think there's a lot of money in restaurants. There's not. The margins are very tight. And the last thing any restaurant needs, whether you're a successful restaurant or one that's struggling, is more debt, because that's what kills you, right? Yeah. So your expenses, your debt, like, we took at Barrio, we took advantage of the $40,000, loan, partly forgivable, but that allowed us, without that, we couldn't hire staff on, and we would just be kind of stuck. So that's helped us, it's helped us in a way, but it's still debt. It's still money we have to repay.
It's money you got to make eventually.
That's right. So you're looking at $40,000 to pay back. That's after tax, right? So like there's a lot of restaurants. It's not helping. These loans aren't going to help them. They're just going to bury them further.
Well, ultimately, I mean, there's no perfect solution. There just can't be. You can't completely forgive all this money. Somebody's going to pay for it eventually.
Right.
And another really difficult conversation is a lot of these businesses probably would have failed regardless of the situation we're in right now anyway. So like, do you even help that business? You know what I mean? But then that's a more sensitive conversation.
It is. And, you hear on the street, this place closed and the landlord shut them out, and it makes the landlord such an enemy, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know the history behind, like, has that tenant been paying rent on time for the last how many years? Are they behind already before this started? Were they difficult tenants and making the landlord's life like miserable from day one? And, there's a lot of stories that probably happen behind the scenes that we're not aware of. We just see, XYZ restaurant closed and the landlord locked them out. Well, it's easy to make the landlord the bad guy, but they're not always the bad guy.
You're always the bad guy, and your feelings don't matter, Ted. That's
true.
That's the position you put yourself in when you become a landlord. That's how it is.
I'm used to that hour. Yeah.
Ted, what percentage of your tenants are restaurants?
I don't have it in a percentage, but there's 5 restaurants, including myself, that are in my buildings that are restaurants.
Okay, and would you say that restaurants are struggling more than the other businesses, or is everyone in the same position right now? Has it been easier on some businesses than others? What's your kind of outlook there?
My tenants my main commercial tenants are all restaurants. So
okay.
I don't have another perspective.
Yeah. So your other tenants would be residential?
That's right. And most of those tenants have paid, some are not able. So again, it's just kind of one of those things where you try to help them out and push it down the road and hope that they can recover with time. Last thing you want to do is kick somebody out on the street, right?
Yeah.
No, you sound like a pretty reasonable man, Ted. I think there's a lot of those stories that we talked about are, there are truly bad landlords, just as there are bad tenants, but I think there are people who can come together and make stuff happen together. But I guess in the spirit of keeping this relatively short, so people actually watch and listen. And is there something you want to talk about that we haven't dug into, or do you think that people get a good picture of what you're all about right now?
I think it's a good picture. Barrio's reopened for takeout and delivery, which is starting to move a little bit. Every day a little bit busier, which is nice.
Yeah.
And then the market, exciting thing to do, and that's kind of where my focus is right now.
Awesome. Yeah, guys. I'm super excited myself about the market. I'm definitely going to be down there tomorrow to check it out. It's exciting to hear something different to do. So, everyone who's watching, starting tomorrow, which is Saturday, March 16th, around 1 p.m., correct?
That's right.
The Barrio will be having a market open on their patio with, about 12 different stations where you can pick up different foods, produce, etc. to go. There will be social distancing, so it will be safe, but it's supposed to be a beautiful day. So, definitely if you're out and about in the Leslieville area, you want to support one of the original Leslieville OGs with Ted K. And, he's been a great landlord to a lot of people through this. As we said, we've heard from others. So, we'll definitely be there to support, and hopefully others will as well.
And I think we should probably give people some money, Ryan. I think we should give people some Barrio gift cards. So can people use a gift card at the market, Ted? Is that possible?
At the market, no.
At the market, no?
No.
But people can use it for takeout food at Barrio, yes?
They can, yes.
Okay, cool. So we'll make sure if you read in the comments, whether you're watching this on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, in the comment, the first one, there's going to be instructions on how you could enter to win some gift cards to Barrio and go spend it and help Ted be even more awesome than he already is. So thank you for watching, everybody.
All right. Thanks for joining, Ted.
Thank you very much for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Cheers. Talk soon.
All right.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Good.